welcome back to the Press Star Podcast. I'm your host Vic, aka MrNeverChillin. This is episode number 41. Of course, I'm joined by none other than Lunatic Ablivion.
Hey guys, how you doing today? Vic, what's new with you, man?
Not much, man. Started Tunic this week, so that was a pretty fun experience. I played about an hour and a half so far of it, and it's a
hmm
challenging game. Like the don't be deceived by the looks of the game because it looks like a cute, cuddly, like knockoff game, but it's challenging, man, and it makes you like really play. What's your thoughts on the game so far? Because I know you played it and actually beat it already.
Yeah, so the game is pretty quick. It's definitely for those of you who are sleeping on the game or not really, that far into it or haven't looked at it much yet. Tunic is essentially the fan successor to the original Legend of Zelda style gameplay. So it's very traditional in its aspect of moving around the map and trying to explore, having almost no knowledge about the world. The game itself, the whole concept is you're actually building the instruction manual that would have came with like an SNES cartridge or something, or a Game Boy or an N64 cartridge that tells you how to play the game. But you're trying to actively play the game as you're collecting an instruction manual on how to play the game. So the game is definitely a speedrunner friendly game. It's meant to be beat in a few hours, played again and again. There's a new game plus feature. And to actually truly beat the game, you actually have to collect all of the instruction manual, or you actually get a game over screen when you win.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty cool. It reminds me of like how Hellblade was um, like you had to collect things throughout the game where I don't know. I just feel like if you miss them, you're like shit. I didn't complete the game. So like
Well,
that's
no,
pretty cool.
this one actually says game over as opposed to the end. You've lost. The game says, "Do you want to retry it? Because you missed 4 pages."
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's something different. It's a nice little feature, but
Yeah.
it still gives you the sense like yeah, I beat the game, but do I really want to beat the game? Like, you know what I mean? So it gives it that feel of completion.
Yeah, and I definitely gotta say the level of difficulty, it kind of there was some cheese that happened with a lot of the bosses I find, and the game itself, the difficulty curve really is exponential. You can do some of the first fights in any order you want to take them on, and if you don't go in a certain order, you may miss certain pages that tell you how to play the game. And you really, honestly, the game itself is very difficult if you're not truly exploring every little nook and cranny of the world, because you're going to miss a lot of stuff. And if you miss those things, you may miss pages out of the instruction manual. So honestly, Tunic is one of those games I gotta say is a 9 out of 10 right now. I put it on on my list as 9 out of 10. Metacritic, I've been starting to track these games that I've played and give them a 1 out of 10 rating, and this is definitely a 9. So if you're looking to play it, be wary. Game Pass may have some issues. I had some, but I know Vic here didn't. So if you're looking to play it, it's free to play on Game Pass right now. It's controller friendly, so have at it. It's a wonderful game.
Yeah, I definitely recommend it. I mean, to me, it reminds me when I played through Death's Door last year,
hmm
and it was a lot of fun. Death's Door was a very similar style game, and it just feels the same. And just Death's Loop was just as challenging, just like this. Like if you had to upgrade your abilities or do this or do that, just to progress and do a little bit better. But Tunic does that have a little different features, but you're actually collecting like the manual, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I agree. And so, without further ado, let's talk about our co-op stream here. Let's go from good to bad. So, first of all, Tunic's a great game, but let's talk about a AAA game that isn't. And yet again, we played Zombie Parkour Simulator for now our fifth or sixth week,
Yeah.
and it still hasn't gotten better.
Yeah, the story just seems very disconnected. It's the parkour is just rough. Like it now that we're starting to unlock all these abilities, the game doesn't know what ability I'm trying to use because they use all the same buttons to trigger them. So it's like, am I trying to climb or am I trying to wall run? The game is like, you're going to wall run even though I'm trying to climb. Or like
hmm
when we have that ability to run up the wall, now it's like, oh, you run up the wall and over the wall and off the wall on the other side. You're like, no, that's not what I wanted to do. Like, what are you like? It's just trying to do too much.
Well, and not only that, the forward momentum, if you let go of the joystick or the W key, depending on your play style, you're actually gonna you lose momentum in air. So as long as you're holding, your character continues to get forward momentum. But if you let go, your character stops, and you can control your falling in air with W and S, which is a little funky. But the idea here is on certain parts of the course in parkour, you start going forward. If you don't let go of W as soon as you get on to say one of the poles that you can grip from monkey bar to monkey bar, you're just gonna shoot yourself over. So I've had it where we're climbing the windmill and I grab a monkey bar and I just keep going.
Right, instead of just grabbing it and holding it.
Yeah, no, exactly. So honestly, I'm hoping we can beat the game soon. It feels like it's almost gone on too long.
Right.
But
The
you know,
combat feels awful. Like when we fought that one boss, I forget, we're in the church and we just bombarded it with the explosive arrows and just annihilated it in seconds. Where that boss fight was clearly set up to last you a little bit longer. Like they had med packs all over. They had spears and explosive tanks and like we didn't even pick any of that stuff up until
we
after
just
the
went
fight.
and hammed it.
It
Yeah,
was like
no, honestly, I think this is the biggest issue with AAA games like this. They build a single player experience, but then they're like, let's make it multiplayer. Like they advertise the game as a multiplayer game, but then it's meant to be a single player experience. But in a single player experience, the game would be kind of rough and unfun and sometimes unplayable.
yeah, for sure.
So,
I feel like
you
because
know,
I was thinking about it, like while you were running around with trying to find the cables, I was just like, I'm glad he's doing it. I hated to say that, but it's just like this shit is so tedious. It's just like
it's so boring.
it would be boring as fuck if I was doing this by myself. While you were doing
Yeah.
it, I was trying to explore and help you find out where the panels and shit were.
Yeah.
So I was just giving you recon and information while you were trying to find the actual cables and go swimming, and then I was
Which was
finding all the loot.
awesome because like as a single player experience 100% that shit sucks. Like I'm like, okay, I have the cable, but the cable, I hit max length on the cable, so you let go the cable on it unspools the whole way back.
Yeah,
So I definitely gotta say the game is not great, and I'm thinking maybe we should put it down and move on to something that'll help to keep our viewers engaged. And we'll talk about that in a minute here with the new game releases this week. But Vic, other than Tunic, what have you been playing?
um, just Valorant. Honestly, I haven't really picked up.
Hmm.
Haven't started anything. I did re-download Call of Duty Modern Warfare because I wanted to check that out, see how that plays now, 3 years later,
Hmm.
and it's still fun. I think it's still the best playing Call of Duty out there by far, like
Hmm.
for the multiplayer aspect of it. And I hopped into gunfight. I feel like I haven't lost anything. I'm just as good, and it's just like I can't wait to have a Call of Duty where like, oh, I can't wait to go home and play Call of Duty. Like
Yeah.
I miss that feeling, miss having that Call of Duty, like that shooter that I can just play every day, any day of the week, and just pick it up and drop it. Like Valorant, I have to invest a few hours into. Where Call of Duty, I used to be able to hop in, play for like 30 minutes, and get a couple matches in, and
Yeah.
that's it. But now I can't.
It's an arena shooter versus a competitive shooter, and that's the fun thing about Call of Duty. It's just an arena shooter. You hop in, fight a few fights in the arena, and then you pop out. Oh, I don't feel this game, just leave. Whereas Valorant's like you can't leave. You've got to do this, which it's don't get me wrong, when you're committing for 30 rounds up to, sorry, up to 24 rounds, you're really you're you kind of don't want somebody to drop at that point. You don't, not kind of, you don't. But in Call of Duty, it's just nicer because it's more casual. You can just have fun with it. And I think that's something definitely that I can't do with Valorant because even if we're playing unrated, you can't just have fun with it sometimes because it's 24 rounds. I don't want to sit there and get slogged for 12 in a round, 12 in a 12 right away.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just like I just miss having that quick shooter. And actually, me and Bruno actually hopped into some unrated earlier this last week, and it just wasn't fair. I was like, this is clearly why I don't play unrated. I was dropping 30 bombs and just overkill. I was just like, this is why I'm gonna stick to playing ranked because I'm not gonna do that in ranked that often at least. And it's just like I feel like I'm not making myself better by playing unrated, but it's always just it's fun to be able to hop in lobbies and feel overpowered. And
Yeah.
just work on some things too. Like I was trying just to work on the satchel packs and the rocket and stuff like that. So it's just
Hmm.
it's a place for practice and for fun. But
Yeah.
speaking of other games though, I did download a Plague Tale Innocence. It's one of my next games I want to play through for story wise because I knew a Plague Tale Requiem comes out I think later this year, and it was always one of those games that piqued my interest and it was on my backlog. So I'm really excited to give it a try.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited. I hope you like it. It was a really fun game for me. It felt really I didn't know what to expect because it felt kind of like an indie game to me. It didn't feel like a normal
Hmm.
one of the big games I wanted to play. So, with that being said, just myself this week, I actually beat Ghost of Tsushima as well as Tunic. So hopefully I'll be able to catch back up to my yearly New Year resolution of one game beat a week. But without further ado, let's talk about what's coming up this week. So this week, Vic, big week, right?
It
You
sure
know,
is.
let's start with some small things here. Coming out on the 22nd, we have Kraken Academy. This is a smaller game, it seems. It's by Happy Broccoli Games as the developer. It's being published by Fellow Traveler. This is going to be on the PC, or is already on PC at this point,
Hmm.
but it's being released for console now. So it looks as like this is a successful game that now is getting its console release after it's made its way onto the indie PC studio. Next, we've got a game that's been around for a long time, Rune Factory. They're releasing their fifth installment now on the Switch. This is actually quite a big thing because Rune Factory is now going into the three-dimensional world as opposed to a top-down 2D game.
Okay.
So this will be a 3D Harvest Moon style fighting game with monsters and taming. Next, we've got a Memoir Blue. This comes out on the 24th. This is a sort of it's a two-part adventure, one with sort of a realistic looking character as well as one of a more cartoonish character, I believe. It's sort of a
Hmm.
story-driven game. This is
Okay.
by Cloisters Interactive. It is an adventure genre game. It's coming out for the PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. This was, I believe, one of the games that was previewed last year at E3.
Hmm.
Um, Next, we've got The Ascent coming to PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. That'll be on the 24th. We've talked about The Ascent before here, and that's not a very great game, right, Vic? Like, I personally didn't like it. I was
Right.
kind of upset about how it played.
Right. I don't want to ruin the experience for anybody, but I'm hoping that if you're going to play this game solo with a controller, and obviously this is coming out on the PlayStation now. It's already been out on Xbox, but give that a try.
Hmm.
We played this on PC, keyboard and mouse co-op, and I just think we had a total different experience than what someone's going to have
Yeah,
if they play this solo and be able to explore and actually do every little nook and cranny. It's just like I think we just didn't put the effort into trying to enjoy the game. I think in a sense,
I
but I just
think.
feel like we didn't want to because we didn't have a meaning to either.
Well, and the story and side quests were very disjointed, but to see this coming out almost, what, 6 months, 8 months after it launched originally, just to come to PS4 and PS5,
Hmm.
hopefully those of you who like it, I wouldn't invest more than $30 into the game personally.
Right.
Next, we've got our big three coming out on Friday, I believe. Yes, Friday the 25th. We've got first Ghostwire Tokyo. This is coming out for PS5 as well as the PC. So this is huge. This is one of those PlayStation exclusives that's now coming to PC as well, day one.
Yep.
So we're looking at, these PlayStation studios bringing their content to the computer.
Well, this is
And
actually a
honestly,
Microsoft studio.
yeah, that's the thing. It is, but it's like, why isn't it on Xbox?
It's a timed exclusive. It comes to
Yeah,
Xbox next year. This
isn't
contract
that
was in.
because
It was. It was
it's a
in
deal?
place. It was in place
Yeah,
before they bought the Bethesda out.
exactly. So that's what I was getting at here. This is something designed for Sony PlayStation in mind, but Microsoft is also bringing it to the PC, which is super exciting.
Hmm.
I'm really excited to try Ghostwire Tokyo. Knowing it's Bethesda does scare me a little bit, but it looks amazing. So far, we've gotten to see a lot more gameplay trailers this week, which we've been missing out for months and months. this past, I'd say, month, we really got to see what gameplay is going to look like.
Right.
Next, we've got Kirby and the Forgotten Land. This comes out on Switch on Friday, and it looks great. It looks like what we want right now. Not what we need, but what we want.
Right.
This is like Mario Odyssey and Kirby had a new game together. Last but not least, one of our favorites and what we think we might be doing here for our next co-op stream, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. This comes out for PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, and PC on Friday. Vic, are you excited for any of these games?
Oh, I don't even know where to start, honestly, dude.
Right?
Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy. Like, this is a big week in gaming, and actually, like, to circle back to a Memoir Blue, I actually completely forgot about this game, and it's
Yeah,
being
same.
published by Annapurna. So I've been playing a lot of Annapurna games as of lately, and because when they're publishing games, like they've been putting out gems and highlighting gems, and the storytelling that goes on in these small games is just it's really compelling, and I just feel connected to them. And I'm gonna probably play a Memoir Blue for sure. But in regards to the big games that are coming out, I mean, gotta be Tiny Tina's. I'm really excited to hop into with you and playing that. But Kirby and the Forgotten Land, that might be my next Switch game I buy, because I'm actually almost done with Pokemon Brilliant Diamond, and
Mhm.
I can wait to play Legends Arceus until another time. So I'm definitely excited to give that a try. And then Ghostwire Tokyo, I'm just gonna wait, excuse me, until next year, whenever it comes out on Xbox, because it's going to come to Game Pass day one. So I'm not going to spend $60, $70, or however much this game costs off rip. I'm just going to wait until it's free.
Yeah, honestly, for me, I'm gonna probably get Ghostwire Tokyo after I beat some of the other things I currently have open, and after I wait, because it is Bethesda we're talking about here. I'm gonna give it a week, let it simmer. Reviews are reviewers. They, remember what they gave Battlefield, and I don't want to get the Battlefield experience again. But other than Ghostwire, I've already actually pre-ordered Kirby and the Forgotten Land. This
Okay.
looks so good, and if it's anything like Mario Odyssey, it's a 10 out of 10 for me. I had no issues whatsoever with Mario Odyssey. I felt like it was a complete game from beginning to end, and if this game is anything like that, honestly, I'm going to talk about it for months. So, the last Tiny Tina's, where I'm standing for our co-op Sundays, I'm thinking I might want to just jump right into this so that we can get it while it's hot. Get it 2 days after it launches, get it with some of our community members to play it. I'm excited for this game. This is a game that I'm probably going to buy right away without waiting, even though that's typically not the thing I do lately.
For sure. Yeah, we'll definitely get those plans together, and then hopefully get announcements. So stay tuned to our Twitter and Instagram page. If not, definitely see if you can hop into our Discord server. But moving along here, though, got some couple industry news here. Both of them related to Microsoft. They did announce they're releasing Direct Storage API for the PC. Roger, tell us a little bit about this.
So what direct storage is the next evolution for SSDs, NVMe specifically. What happens is with NVMe's, a lot of your data processing is handled by your CPU. Well, what happened is Microsoft found a way to take that data management off of the CPU and actually offload it onto the GPU, which both increases performance and speed for your data transfer rates. This
Mm-hmm.
brings your up and down speeds to about 7 gigabits per second using a GPU as opposed to the 5 that you get off of a CPU. So this is really interesting because this can allow for when you're not using, because your CPU is used for everything on a computer, but now you can take an offload onto your GPU, which for the most part, even when you're playing an intensive game, usually doesn't do very much. You're usually using your GRAM and not your GPU itself, like the processing power of it. So now to offload this somewhere that isn't busy and get a performance hike, this is actually going to be one of the next big steps in how we work with computers and how we handle the computer itself, how we build better machines. So I'm excited for direct storage for PC. Honestly, it sounds like something that I would want to do to replace my current NVMe for my C drive with, so that hopefully I can get increased performance.
Right, and what's crazy though is I'm actually already experiencing it because this technology was already implemented with the Xbox Series X. It was one of their first
Correct?
products that they used this one, and I see the speeds every day because like I transfer stuff between my internal hard drive and then my three external hard drives I have because like if I want to play the Series X or S enhanced version of the game, it has to be on the internal SSD or the little memory card one that slides in the back. But I don't
Yeah.
have that. That costs too much right now. It's like 220 for a terabyte, and I'm like, no, can't justify that. And then, but I have three other external hard drives that just houses all my games, so then I gotta swap them back and forth, and they transfer in like fucking like couple minutes, like 2 3 minutes, and I'm like, that's crazy
Mhm.
because some of these games
Well,
are
and
70
that's
gigabytes plus.
well, and that's the thing. You're not really seeing it there. You're seeing it with the gameplay. It's
Yeah,
so
that too.
fast. The load times are short. The processing of actually pulling the files to play with them. That's where you're getting the most benefit because you're still throttled by the fact that those external drives are slow. But
Hmm.
now with the direct storage for the actual processing of the drive that runs the games, that's awesome. We're gonna see a huge spike.
Yeah, I'm just excited that they're bringing this to PC, and I'm actually surprised that console actually had a feature or a function before PC for once.
Yeah, honestly, I think that's one of the things we will see a lot is consoles will get newer features sometimes because they're all in one system, so it's easier for them to adopt a better technology quickly because they just say you don't get a choice.
Right.
So, without further ado, though, you did touch upon this, but Xbox Game Pass Ultimate members, they're actually going to get 30 days free of Paramount Plus just in time for the release of the Halo TV show. So on the 23rd of March, you'll be given a 30-day free trial of Paramount Plus, where the new Halo TV show will be on, which starts premiering March 24th. Honestly, this seems like a great marketing tactic. It's a no-brainer. Let's pay for them to get some Paramount Plus time, or Paramount Plus will just give them free time,
Right.
and then all these users are just going to be like, well, I want to watch the next few episodes because you're only going to get what, 3 or 4, and then you're going to be like, wait, I can't see the rest.
Yeah, now I gotta subscribe for at least a month and finish out the
Paramount
show.
Plus.
And there you are. Then you're
Exactly.
hooked. And then you forget.
It's
Then you forget to cancel it. And then you're hooked.
it's the HBO Max syndrome. That's what it is. You only subscribe for a show and you unsubscribe as soon as that show disappears.
Right. I mean, I think that's awesome. Like Microsoft has been doing phenomenal marketing deals with like streaming
Mhm.
platforms. Like they did it with Disney Plus. They have done it with Hulu, and now they're doing it with Paramount Plus. So I can't knock them. And especially, excuse me, this is like perfect timing. Like they're giving you the free access the 23rd, and then they got their main IP, what Xbox is known for, Halo's TV series comes out the next day. Like, I mean, it's a no-brainer. Because I was thinking about it. Because like
Yeah,
I'm not personally not subscribed to Paramount Plus yet, and me and my fiance were talking. I was just like, man, that's like another subscription I have to get. Like they start to add up after a while, and it's just like,
exactly.
and now boom, I'm getting a free 30 days, and I'm going to be able to enjoy the first however many episodes.
Hopefully you'll enjoy it. And that's the
Right.
awesome part because now you can try the series. And if you're like, wow, this Halo TV show is actual dog shit, now I don't have to pay to watch it.
Right. So I mean, it's perfect. So best believe I'll be getting that free trial on the 23rd.
Yeah, same. All right. Without further ado, gaming news, the thing that everyone comes to this show for. So, we saw some more state of play last week, and one of the things that we got was actually the Hogwarts Legacy game. So, Hogwarts Legacy is essentially the Harry Potter video game that we all wanted and never got. At this point, we're watching the state of play. If you haven't seen it yet, it's like a 12 or 13-minute video on Harry Potter, the new game coming out. It honestly, like, as much as I dislike Harry Potter lately or the fandom itself, I'm probably going to end up playing this game. It looks really solid. It is you're a new student in the school. You get started on an accelerated course, but you actually go around and participate in actual classes. You get some fun combat. You build a little retreat for yourself, so it has a little base building element to it. Has crafting systems. It has everything that an action RPG wants or needs. but it also is in a place that we really haven't explored well without getting just video game versions of movies.
Right. Yeah, and watching this man looks crazy, and it's crazy. Like even at work, like people who aren't that big in gaming, they're like, "Yo, did you see the Hogwarts
Yeah.
Legacy trailer or the gameplay?" And I was like, "Of course I did."
Yeah.
Like I follow this stuff. Like I got to because of what we do here. But it's bringing everybody together because everybody loves Harry Potter. Harry Potter's been around for 20 plus years, and this is great. Like you really get to create your own wizard or witch, and then you get to be sorted into a house as well. Like the sorting hats in there. This actually takes place 100 years before the Harry Potter books or movies, whatever you want to look at. But it's rooted in so much lore, and with all like the Fantastic Beast series as well, because they're implementing some of that kind of stuff too. Because we're starting to see like a bunch of the monsters and the creatures that are from those ones in this, and like being able to
Hmm.
fly around in your broomstick and just explore and just seeing the common rooms was pretty cool because like we've seen them in movies, and like the detail, the attention to detail in this game is like it's incredible. And I've been seeing.
Hmm.
I remember playing the Harry Potter Sorcerer's Stone video game on the PS1, and people have been comparing that with this like side by side. They were like the Hogwarts living area and now, and I'm just like, whoa, like boy did we
And,
come a
and
long way.
and what's crazy is I believe this game is supposed to be quite a few years in the past. Like this is 1950s, I believe, that
Yeah,
whereas the Harry Potter TV show and books are actually, more modern day.
right. Well, that's what I just said. It's 100 years before
Yeah.
Harry Potter takes place. One hundred
I didn't
years.
think it was 100. I thought it
Yeah,
was like
yeah,
okay. So yeah, that's it looks really good. And honestly, there's gonna be a lot of just new canon, which is nice. They're free to develop how they want for the most part because a lot of these characters don't exist yet.
right. I think the only person they said that's going to be from like any of the content that we know would be like the ghost, like Sir Headless Nick.
Headless
He,
Nick, yeah.
yeah, like he's in it. Like obviously, like he can be in it. Like whatever they do with him does not matter because he's not a like intricate like player in the story. So it's like, all right, that's cool. It's a little nod, like, hey, I remember him in the movies, haha. But it's just like, I'm really excited, man. Like, and they announced that this is supposed to come out in holiday of this year, so WB man is going to have a killer holiday season, I think, with Gotham Knights and this game coming out around the holiday.
Yeah, no, I really hope they strike out with this because WB has been doing really good lately. Like, DC feels like they're doing really well. I honestly, I hope their game industry really takes off because then that helps to really challenge the Marvel because Marvel's doing great. Some of their games are hit or miss, but like even then, they still have good games. Like for example, we got the Spider-Man games. They're doing excellent. We've got a Wolverine game coming. We've got, another game. I forget which one the new one is, but it's going to be essentially you build a team and you're fighting against evil versions of people in Marvel Universe. But, you know,
Midnight Sun.
Marvel is really, huh?
Midnight Sun. I think that's the one.
Yes,
Yeah.
Midnight Sun, I think is
Yeah,
what it
the
is.
one like
So,
XCOM style game.
yep,
Yeah.
exactly. So I'm excited for WB because I'm more of a DC fan myself, but
But they also
let's see
got
what
but
happens.
they got other games too. Like they got Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga that's coming out this year. They have
That's true.
Gotham Knights that's coming out this year. Harry Potter's well, Hogwarts Legacy's coming out, and then they still got Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League, which got delayed till next year, but that'll probably be early next year. So they're gonna have like a
Hmm.
killer like back-to-back quarters, I think, with all these games coming out, and who knows what they got in the works. Like I think there's a new Batman in the works, like the art set in the Arkham time.
The Arkham series.
Yeah, so that'll be pretty cool to see, especially with the movie that just came out.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's the thing. Like with the new movie, I was blown away with how good the new Batman movie was. And honestly, I think we may see a new dawn for DC and Warner Brothers altogether. So, you know, here's to hoping that this year will be a Warner Brothers year because they have a lot of good content that just keeps being flubbed year after year.
Right. Yeah, because I haven't been a fan of DC in a very long time. I'm all Marvel
Yeah.
because DC stuff has
Well,
been mediocre to me.
exactly. Yeah. A lot of people watch it for the live action and not the cartoons, and that's where they fail.
Yeah, and but
Uh,
but we can't knock them though because they do really well with their cartoon and their animated stuff.
yeah,
But like Marvel
their
doesn't
animated stuff is 10 out of 10.
like Marvel doesn't really have a lot of animated stuff, but they do. But when they do put out good content. Like Into the Spider Verse, it's one of the best
Yeah.
animated films in a while.
Hmm. All right. So moving on here. Flintlock. This is a new game that was just announced this week from the developers of Ashen. This is a game from 2018. Um, this is going to be an open world action RPG, and it's actually a day one Game Pass game. So this is one of those games that is being pushed through by Microsoft to really help support their Game Pass market.
Hmm.
What'd you think of Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn? Did it look like an interesting game to you?
Graphically and the idea, it looks pretty cool. Not
Hmm.
and just to give an insight though, this is coming to other consoles as well. It's coming to Game Pass day one, which is exciting because they showcase some of this at um, PlayStation State of Play and ID at Xbox. So it's been at like most conferences as of lately. So it's getting a lot of marketing as of lately because this game did come out of nowhere especially for it to
Yeah.
be released this year, and we're just now hearing about it. Like that's pretty cool that they were able to hide that stuff. But yeah, it's an open world RPG that has guns and magic, so like I'm on board. It sounds pretty epic to me, and like just
Hmm.
seeing from the trailers and the concept art that we got, it looks like a game I got to check out.
No, yeah, I agree. And talking about Xbox here, there are a few changes coming here to Game Pass as well as the Xbox Series X and S. So first of all, Series X and S can now download their updates in energy saver mode. Is this a big change, Vic? I'm not a big Xbox X and
Yeah,
S person.
yeah, for sure. Because like for you to get the updates, typically you would have to turn your system on and then actually go into the settings and update it manually. Where now like you're because Xbox is like when you turn them off, they aren't, I guess, 100% off. They're in energy saver mode. That's why like as soon as you press the button or turn it on, it's right back at the
Yeah,
menu. It doesn't have to
it's
go
a hibernation mode.
right. It doesn't have to load up the whole OS again. It doesn't have to load up all because like all your games are still being held in that quick resume feature. So this is pretty cool to add this new feature because it'll just update throughout the day. If there's a new update, boom, you come home, you play the game. You don't got to worry about any updates. So that's pretty cool for me, and it saves
No, I
energy.
agree.
It means I'm not
No, it's
wasting
awesome.
energy for updates.
Well, and you're not wasting time because people come home and they're like, I want to play my game, but now they can't because, oh, now I got another system update. Now I got
Hmm.
to. That happens with me playing on the Switch all the time. It's like, all right, new game, let's play. You haven't played your Switch in a week. There's a new system update. And then the game has to install with the update.
Right.
So, no, this is exciting. And so, moving on here, Xbox won three new accessibility awards for their video games this year, which is actually quite impressive. Halo won two awards. They got an award for video game accessibility for their clear text and training grounds in the new Halo game, which is actually pretty cool.
Hmm.
It makes it easier for gamers who aren't gamers to get involved and actually be able to try and play the games. I think it's awesome that we're continuing to see these strides, as well as Forza Horizon 5 got a cool award, which I think is really nifty. They got an AI assistance award. This is, I think, because their cars have the AI driving. It's
Yeah.
something my wife plays with a lot whenever she plays Forza. It just the ability for them to help you drive your car is awesome.
Yeah.
Because you're still in control, but it really helps you to, oh, you're gonna overtake this turn too much. Let's fix that.
Right. Yeah. That was one of my biggest things with Forza from the beginning was the difficulty. It's not easy, hard, medium. It's not that. It's not that. It's not that simple. In Forza, like you can fine tune the steering, fine tune the acceleration, fine tune the dots on the map to show you like when you should slow down and stuff like that. Like they go super in depth into that kind of stuff. And then you can like turn damage on and off. Like you can completely customize your experience on how you want to enjoy the game. And if you're not that great at racing games, you can fine tune it to the point where you have some helpful adjustments that just makes it enjoyable. Like you were saying, if you drive recklessly and you would definitely miss the turn, they're going to help you guide and get you into the turn. You're all set. You're muted.
And that's what I was trying to get at is like Forza is those game it with its accessibility options. My wife, who's not a gamer, was able to sit around and play Forza with me the whole way through. It was co-op. They allowed her to play at her own difficulty. So like she's playing a whole different game than I'm playing, which is awesome. It allowed people for every skill level to actually compete, which was super impressive. Um, so moving on from the accessibility awards, Game Pass had a few major updates. So we're going to be seeing a bunch of new games here coming out. We talked about one before, Crusader Kings, but we've got a total of 8 games coming. Shredders is coming, or has already came out, March 17th. The Dungeons of Nailbuck, the Amulet of Chaos, came out March 17th. Tainted Grail Conquest comes out on the 22nd. Zero Escape, the Nonary games, comes out on the 22nd. Norco comes out on the 24th. Formula 1 2021 comes out on the 24th. CK3, Crusader Kings 3, comes out on the 29th. And Weird West comes out on the 31st. So, Vic, any of these games really strike you?
It sure does. Weird West was actually one of these indie developed games that I've been following since the announcement, and it's a different game that I would typically play. It has that Western style, hence the name, and it's like I'm trying to describe like
Hmm.
how the game plays. Like it's definitely different. What I'm just reading it here. Weird West is a dark fantasy reimagining of the Wild West, where lawmen and gunslingers share the frontier with fantastical creatures, each playing with their own rules and their own peculiar motives. So like the art style, like when I tell you art style is big for me and graphically what it looks like, that's what's going to hook me in first. So if you have a game that's appealing and it looks great, I'm gonna probably play it or check it out at least. So this is something different, and I'm really eager to give this a try on the 31st.
Honestly, looking at this game, this to me is an amazing game. So this is as it says, Weird West. This is sort of a Deadlands, I believe, is the tabletop RPG that kind of reminds me of this. This is essentially werewolves, vampires, zombies, magic, and mayhem in the wild, wild west. But only not only is it that, it's also going to be a Diablo style game. So you're going to be playing essentially with 1 to 3 characters, I believe, in a party in a Diablo style action adventure. So it's not going to be your traditional turn-based sort of top-down. You move to a space, do an action, they go, and a turn-based RPG, but it's going to be a real-time RPG.
Yeah.
So it's constantly moving. It looks amazing. The only problem is it's single player, so you can only play it alone, which is great, but it looks like one of those games that I'd love to play with my friends in a party.
Right. I mean, maybe it gets the Returnal treatment. It adds co-op at a later time.
Maybe, but it looks really cool. For me, I think one of the cool things that's coming out is actually the Zero Escape, the Nonary games. So Zero Escape is actually one of those. This is a Japanese game. This is a visual novel, which is typically not the style of gameplay you would expect to see on Game Pass. This is a traditional storybook as a video game. I'm excited for this because the Nonary games is kind of a mindfuck game where you're supposed to be able to continue to you replay the game over and over again to make the outcomes different, but the idea is you're supposed to be able to collect different endings every time you play the game to unlock new endings. So you build the story from different perspectives. So like you may play through once and save one character and then play through a second time, save a separate character. And then, you find out what's happening to one character while you're saving another character. So then you try to figure out how to save them both by doing a third story path. I
Hmm.
think this is really cool because this is one of those games that kind of defines what a good um what a good a I'd say a good visual novel can be, because visual novels typically aren't very popular in the West unless you're a weeb or somebody who's like an otaku, somebody who really cares about them for the story. And this is one of those things that's a game. It's like Escape the Room, but it's a visual novel, Escape the Room.
Right, and what makes it even crazier though is, like you said, that this isn't normal for Microsoft to even have this. This is a Japanese title, and that's just another one that they're trying to get into the market. Like
Yeah.
they've been growing into the Japanese market, and they keep adding different games that are going to be more appealing for that market. And this is being developed by Spike Chunsoft, which is a
Well,
Japanese developer. So it
well,
only
and the
makes
thing
sense.
is, it's been out for years too, which is the other thing. This game is about, I'd say, 5 years old, maybe closer to 10. But this is a collection of games, and as you said, yeah, this is their way of branching into the Eastern market. They're looking for games that are more palatable to a market outside our own, because as you see, Western and Eastern gameplay is completely different.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And I'm trying to look here at other games. Oh yeah, we were just mentioned Shredders. I did check Shredders out already, and it's one of those games that you just pick up and drop for like 30
Mhm.
minutes, like we were talking about before with Call of Duty, where I miss having that kind of game. And it's like Shredders understands that it's not going to take itself serious. Like, it's such a goofy ass game from the jump. Like, it has you jumping through flags and just making destruction. And then, like, some lady sees you doing it and was like, hey, we should destroy this big old flag. And then you go and do it, and she was like, oh, that was so impressive. I can't wait to use it for our marketing material. They were like, wait, what? Are we going to get in trouble? Because they just destroyed, like, her flag from her company and stuff like that. And they're like, no, that was great. Like, can't wait to use it. And then, like, and then that's where I stopped playing the game. But it's just like, it's not taking itself serious, but it's a really fun game. So it's one of those you pick up, you drop, just enjoy for a little bit, and keep it pushing.
Yeah, no, it kind of sounds like a burnout style game where you're just going in having fun, and it's sort of just a that sport style, race down the hill, weird stunt kind of game,
Hmm.
Tony Hawk style game.
Right, and I liked how they introduced the controls. Like it was just like one level at a time, where like they added more stuff to it. So like you would learn how to steer, and then you would learn how to brake, and then you would learn how to jump, and then you're learning how to jump and then grind, and then jump and then 360, and it just how they introduced the controls was phenomenal because some people need to practice some kind of things and learn those kind of things instead of being, hey, here's all the controls, do it. Like that can be overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah, no, I agree. So let's finish out the Xbox talk here with the ID at Xbox. Can you give us a recap of what happened?
Oh man, where do I start? They announced a decent amount of games, and I was really excited to see some of them. So we're just going to run through a couple of the games that were announced here. They did announce Immortality, which seems really intriguing to me. This one is an interactive movie trilogy, and that just like I was just like, what? And the only thing I could really compare it to was it sounds like Quantum Break, where like you would play the
Mhm.
game, but then like after a certain level, you would actually have a TV show that would play based off of your decisions. That's the show that you got, and it played out. And I'm wondering like, is it kind of like that, or like how's it going to play out? That's really how I want to see it. And but yeah, that's coming out this summer for the Xbox Series X and S, and it's coming to Xbox Game Pass day one, so that's exciting. Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn was showcased here at ID at Xbox because it is considered an indie developed studio. Oh man, excuse me. All this Pepsi man is making me gassy. But Cursed to Golf seems interesting. Like a different take on golfing, but I don't know. Don't know how to feel about it. I don't know if it's better than Mario Golf. That's just me. Escape Academy looks pretty cool. It has like a nice art style to it. It's basically just the ultimate escape room experience, except it's in a game and not real life, pretty much. Whalefall was another one that they announced. It's a combination of a SRPG and a JRPG set in a high fantasy world inspired by the Lord of the Rings. So in the Final Fantasy game, so like that's pretty cool. And it's another one that could be similar to the it'll probably appeal more to the Japanese market, but still appeal to us over here as well. Because I could see this might be a game that you Roger, that you might want to check out. And then another one that was announced was Wrestle Quest. This is just looks like one of those classic arcade wrestling goofy kind of games, RPG. Um, and it has like different wrestling icons like the Macho Man in it, so it's like one of those goofy wrestling ones. And of course, they ended the show with Tunic. And Tunic wasn't originally supposed to come to Game Pass, and they were like, "Hey guys, it's coming to Game Pass. Check it out
Day one.
today." So I was just like, "Whoop!" Because I sent you that message as soon as the news broke, and you were like, "Oh, I guess you were right." And I was like, "Bro, I didn't know. Like it just dropped."
Yeah, it just literally dropped. No, I'm excited. That was really exciting news for me. I just wish the game would have played on Game Pass, but it's awesome to see like you may not expect a game to drop, so like pre-ordering just becomes worse now.
No doubt. And then they did have two more games that they talked about was Crusader Kings 3, which we talked about plenty of times, but the other one I was
Hmm.
excited to see that they talk about was Trek to Yomi. This was a game that was showcased not too long ago at PlayStation State of Play event. And guess what? It is also coming to Xbox, and
Game
guess what?
Pass.
It's coming to Game Pass, y'all. This it's coming out in the springtime, so it's actually going to be right around the corner. And this is the one that we talked about. It's like that old classic samurai. It's black and white. It has like that old noir feel to it.
Yeah, it's like a Yojimbo style storytelling,
Hmm.
black and white samurai. So I'm honestly for it to be coming to Game Pass day one is just amazing to me because this is a game that I was interested in trying, but I didn't know if I wanted to buy it. But now it's on Game Pass. So no, I think that's awesome. So we've got a few more things here before we move on to gaming rumors, and then we have a deep freeze moment this week. So Stalker 2. So Stalker 2 is now in response to Russia is changing the name of things to use Ukrainian spelling. For example, they're changing Chernobyl to be Chornobyl instead of Chernobyl, which is, Ukrainian versus Russian spelling of the city of Chernobyl. What are you thinking of this, Vic? Is this really something that we need? Like, is this really that big of a deal?
Um, yeah, I mean, it's just another response that, all right, we're not going to associate ourselves whatsoever with Russia, and we're just,
Hmm.
I'm actually surprised, like, that's not how they did it originally, but I guess, like,
Hmm.
99% of the time when people spell Chernobyl, they spell it the Russian way, and even
Yeah,
when I was typing this up, the Google Docs couldn't even understand me spelling Chernobyl that way. It was like, no, this is an error. You got to spell it the other way, and I'm like, no, this is also true. Like they're both
yeah,
right. So obviously it's going to have a big impact. It's going to be like, hey, we side with Ukraine. That's all that is.
yeah. And one of the cool things about this is a game that's yet to come out, but it's supposed to be that sort of Russian that spooky zombie supernatural Russian setting of like a post-apocalyptic nuclear wasteland. And now they're like, when you think that, you associate it with Russia typically, like that sort of Siberia or Russian wasteland. Now they're slapping the face.
Yeah, pretty much. But another update this week: The Crew 2 is getting a 60 FPS update for PS5 and Xbox Series X. It's pretty awesome to see. This game came out like 2 or 3 years ago, maybe even older than that. But they still support this game all the time by adding new content, and just adding a new 60 FPS mode is great for consoles because it looks better. Like what we talked about before, that jump from 30 to 60 is more impactful to us at like we can see
Hmm.
that from as opposed to 60 to 120. We can't really see 120 frames per second. So getting that 60 FPS, that's awesome, man. I love when games get that added feature and just I feel like they're just bringing games along and continue to keep them up to date and up with technology.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's cool that they want to still support this game because for a lot of players, there's probably still a thriving community. And so I'm excited to see, developers like, hey, instead of just continuing to drop microtransactions, which they had their seasons, their battle passes, they're like, let's also make sure the players that are still there are getting a good experience. They're playing it on next gen, make it next gen.
Right. And this game came out in 2018, so 4 years, and they're still supporting it like this at this kind of level. I think it's pretty impressive to carry a game along. But moving
Hmm.
on to a big game, Elden Ring. They have an upcoming update where they're bringing new
Well, it's already out.
well, okay, new quest phases, NPCs, and a whole bunch more. Tell me a little bit what happened.
So a lot of people were getting confused by dialogue and the way the game was running, so they had to make some changes. Like, for example, you couldn't find NPCs. Like, you may not want to go back 3, 4 zones that you completed, maybe 10 days ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever it may be. You don't want to go backwards. You want to keep moving into the new zones, but also you want to follow the story. If you invested some time, you went to an area after you've been to another area, but turns out you were supposed to go to that first area second and that second area first. Well, now that quest giver who moves along the way, they're now at the wrong spot and you're never going to see them. So now they've added markers on the map, and they've made some ambiguous storytelling more concrete so that people can understand what they're trying to express.
Okay.
So now all the NPCs in the game are shown on your map. All you have to do is highlight over it and it'll tell you what NPC is there. Because I found myself marking NPCs with map icons, but I can only map 100 map locations. So I ran out of locations to mark on the map because I was like, there's a lot of NPCs in the game. Now all those NPCs are easily accessible from the map. It doesn't feel very From Software-y because From Software is known for its difficult gameplay and ambiguousness, but I think they're trying to change their game into more of a story experience, and in doing so, their previous gameplay didn't lend itself well to good storytelling. So now they're trying to make sure that people who want to follow the story, like myself, don't need to sit there with an open guide all the time and try to chase down an NPC who's navigated but not told you where they've gone.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Like, I feel like that's important to at least have some kind of structure for the game because not everyone plays the game the same. Not everyone likes those super hard, challenging things where I just have to explore this big ass map to find somebody. Like,
Yeah.
because you can pretty much go anywhere in Elden Ring, is what I've heard. You can go wherever you want.
And exactly, Spooky. Story, From Software, ridiculous. They're two words you don't use in the same sentence, but it's actually true. Elden Ring is trying to add more story, more content, more, engagement other than just slap battles with UN bosses. And what's also really cool, talking about slap battles, the game has gotten a balancing update during this as well. They've changed the mana cost for a lot of spells because they were, you cast a spell and it costs too much mana. So it was like, why did I even grab this spell? I could have used this other spell that's way cheaper and does fractionally more damage. Like, why cast this super long charge attack that takes all of my mana when it doesn't deal damage? So they had balancing updates. They've made changes to help protect low level players because this is a single player MMO, if you will. You can choose to make it a multiplayer MMO if you want, or you can just play the whole game solo. And the thing is, people are already finding cheeses out in the game that they could kill people. Like level 1, they beat the game as a level 1 character, and then they had all these high level items, and they just invade people who started the game and kill them instantly with these super high level weapons.
That's terrible.
Yeah, so the game got a huge balance update as well as the new quest phases and NPCs and map markers. So there's a ton of great stuff going on. And this game, in my opinion, was pretty much a 9 or a 10 out of 10 right out the gate. It lived up to the hype that From Software promises us every time they release a game. So I'm excited. And I hope the people who check out From Software's new Elden Ring really like it as well.
For sure. And moving on here to our last topic, our gaming news of the night. Fortnite. Fortnite just released their new season. This is Chapter 3, Season 2. And, man, they took one of the biggest reasons why people play Fortnite, or therefore not play Fortnite. They have removed building. Like, you can no longer build walls and ramps and none of that. You don't collect resources. You don't do none of that anymore. And I was just like, why would they do that? Well, it's all part of their story. The storytelling that goes on in Fortnite is one of the best I've seen in a battle royale or like multiplayer setting. And they basically they were taken over by this resistance, or somebody like came over and just like snapped it away like Thanos. No more building, guys. And now you're the resistance that are trying to push back, and you're trying to save it and activate it again so people can build. So like I was just like, ooh, I might actually have to give Fortnite a chance, because that's why I stopped playing Fortnite, was because as soon as you shoot somebody with one bullet, they build a fucking castle around you, and you're like, oh, bro, I don't got the time for this. You're like, I can't keep up. No.
Yeah.
So for them,
it becomes like gut visceral reaction that people are like dropping Hadouken combos on you just so that they can build a fucking skyscraper, and you're like, I ain't got time to learn this shit.
No. So I'm really curious to see how this all plays out, for sure. To see how this, like, interacts with, like, how does it impact the community? Like, what do they think? Are they added like new characters you can play as, like Doctor Strange and the Prowler? There's new tanks, there's new fighters, there's new buses. Like, they've added so much stuff to Fortnite. It's not the same game when I was playing it all the time.
Yeah, no, it's a mosh pit of nuts. So, yes, Fortnite is definitely still full of microtransactions. Like, it wouldn't be Fortnite if it didn't come with a microtransaction warning right at the first loading screen. So, last but not least, the gaming rumors segment. Leaked release dates possibly for the Xbox Game Pass for this year. So we've got about 12 releases that we kind of have an idea what are planning to come. In April, we've got two games. We've got Somerville and Trek to Yomi. Somerville should be on April 20th, and Trek to Yomi should be April 29th. We've got Loot River on May 3rd. We've got Euden Chronicles Rising. This should be out May 12th. Sniper Elite 5 is coming May 31st. Slime Rancher 2 may come out on June 1st. Hello Neighbor 2 may come out on June 9th. Atomic Heart comes out June 22nd. Scorn on October 7th. Midnight Fight Express August 15th. Signalis comes out September 1st. And Flintlock The Siege of Dawn comes out September 9th. Is there anything in here that surprises you, looks interesting?
There's a bunch of games on this list that I've been excited for to come out. Somerville is one of them. It has that very mysterious, like, what is going on kind of feel to it, and I love the art style that's going on in Somerville. Um, and it's basically, it looks like, it reminds me of the game like Inside, like that, the black and white, like very mysterious, like what is going on, like that, like that's the whole
Mhm.
premise of that. And then we've already talked about Trek to Yomi. That looks pretty cool. Loot River was an interesting indie game that they announced a while back, so I'm curious to check that out. Atomic Heart has a lot of anticipation for that game. It's it looks phenomenal because they actually just released a some gameplay of it, so I'm really looking forward to that because that one is coming out to all platforms. But it's an upcoming action RPG game being developed by, unfortunately, a Russian studio, Mundfish. So hopefully it still comes out on time. But it's really looks really creepy and gruesome. And speaking of creepy and gruesome, Scorn. Scorn on October 7th is perfect timing because this is reminds me of like the Alien universe. Like, it looks very, very like creepy and just scary, and you're just like, what the
Mhm.
fuck, what the fuck? I don't know if I'm ready for this. But do any of these ones stand out to you at all?
Loot River looks interesting. It's kind of like Tetris meets like roguelike meets Weeb Samurais.
Right. Yeah, I thought that one was pretty cool. Like, you like are on this like boat Tetris thing, but like you can like jump to the next one and then like pull it in, and I don't know. It looked
Mhm.
crazy when they announced it. I was like,
Yeah.
there's so much going on in this game.
Yeah, it's definitely something that hasn't been done before, if I kind of want to say it. Trek to Yomi, I'm interested to find out that that's now going to be a Game Pass day one, as I've said before, so that's pretty cool. Hello Neighbor 2, I believe, is that the sequel to Hello Neighbor where you had that murderous neighbor next door?
hmm
Yes,
And these
yes it is.
and Hello Neighbor was like one of the games that takes AI technology to like to its limits. Like, the AI in the game like adjusts and learns, and it adapts to how you play, so each level is different. Like, it's a really intuitive game, and it's one of the most advanced games when it comes to AI technology.
Yeah, it played poorly from what I understand. Like, it had a really bad running for a while there. But it was remember the thing that's really cool about this is it's made by, well, not made by, it's published by Tiny Build, and
hmm
Tiny Build is essentially a conglomerate of a bunch of indie studios. So this is one of those things that I think was really cool because Hello Neighbor wasn't great from what I hear, but it was good. So, but Hello Neighbor 2 released a long time ago already. Hello Neighbor 2 actually released July 23rd, 2020, but it's only an alpha. So maybe we're going to be seeing the actual game itself come
Right.
out on Game Pass as opposed to just an early access version.
Right. Yeah, so I mean, Xbox has a lot of great games that are lined up right now, and that doesn't include like anything else that are like going to be, like more third party, the bigger titles that they come in out of nowhere to like, hey guys, we got Guardians of the Galaxy, come check it out on Game Pass, or the obviously got MLB the Show coming out still. But yeah, man, I'm excited for these games. But let's move on to our last topic here with a deep freeze moment. Um, the question for everyone this week is, if you could make a game, what kind of game would it be? And I'm gonna start with you, Roger. What kind of game would you make?
So I'm a big fan of RPGs. I've always been a fan of RPGs since I was a kid. Some of my first games were RPGs, whether you want to include, Mario, Legend of Zelda, things like those. I've always liked the idea of playing a character and following through a story that somebody's laid out before me. I'm a fan of Dungeons and Dragons. I love writing stories, but I also really found it interesting when you mesh RPGs as well as strategies,
Mm-hmm.
like grand strategies too, like army versus army. You go from making a character who runs units or squads or it runs the army. Like I played a game called Suikoden Chronicles back on the PlayStation 2 days. This was the fifth game in the series, and you played the first half or the first two-thirds of the game as an RPG game, and then as at the end there, when you finally went on to go save your sister and you tried to, you were the resistance fighters against an evil empire, you actually entered into an RTS, or not an RTS, but a turn-based strategy where your units would fight, and whoever survived then also would participate in your RPG battles that were like Final Fantasy battles. So it was really cool because it took those really specialized heavy hitting units and pit them against each other in an RPG style battle, while also including the fact that in a war you're going to have troops. So how do you deal with that? You deal with it as a giant combat, like a giant turn-based strategy.
Hey, man, that sounds fucking awesome. It sounds like a lot. I know you're big into strategy games, and I've not been much into them. But yeah, that it sounds pretty dope. But
Yeah, no, I
I,
go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, as for myself, I would love to create like my own like first person shooter, and it's just because like at heart I've always been a shooter. Like that's my gravitational. I love playing shooters. That's what I've done since the beginning. And actually, a long time ago, I've always had this thought of creating my own game. Like I even messed around with like, was it FPS Creator? I think is what it was called. And you could just mess around with different. You can build maps and drop in characters and play. So it was fun, but I had this idea of creating like a first person shooter where like it implemented characteristics from like NBA 2K where like you created a soldier, and then like you had to up abilities, and like you would have different like architectures based like on different builds. Like you can have like a sharpshooter, you can have a run and gun, you can have like I don't know, like a medic. Like you would have specific ability, like um, archetypes, but like you would
Hmm.
build up stats like attribute points, like you would normally do in like 2K. Like if I want better 3 point shooting, I gotta make my 3 point shooting bar go up. I would have to slowly grind that and make that go up. And then like you could have badges like 2K has, like which are basically like perks. So you can still have like that perk system like Call of Duty has, and just a more in depth, more customization when it comes to like having your own
Hmm.
person. Like you feel attached to your person, not as opposed to everybody has the same character pretty much.
Yeah, you don't. You want more of a RPG shooter.
Yeah,
You want a shooter where your character is you and not just a loadout.
yeah, and that would be something completely different because I don't think there's many RPG FPSs like competitive ones. Like I'm not talking about story driven at all. Like that would be cool to have too, as a story driven um, campaign also on the side. But like what if you can build that for the story and like it impacts the story, but then
Hmm.
like what you do in the story would have effects on what your character would be as well, like in the game for like your competitive play. Then
Hmm.
like that'd be something way different than what we have ever seen.
No, I agree. That sounds like a very interesting concept because a lot of time, you deal with just what the game has. Whereas I think being able to kind of play your character and you could buy the guns you want, buy the attachments you want, I think that's really interesting. The idea of being able to build you as a character and not just keep unlocking different loadouts. Oh, guess I'll play with the Scar this week because I want to unlock its attachments. No, you play with the Scar because you like the Scar, and then you buy the attachments from winning games.
Right. And I think that'd be pretty cool to build. Hopefully we can get something like that in the future.
Hmm.
But I think that's it for this week. So any last comments or remarks before we close out the episode?
No. Thanks for joining us, everyone. It's awesome to see us 9 viewers concurrently, and I appreciate you guys coming out and having some chat with us. It's been an excellent time to communicate with you guys and just keep you involved and keep us, on our toes.
We definitely love everybody who checks us out live, but we also appreciate everybody that checks us out later on YouTube. So make sure you share, like, subscribe, follow. We're getting closer and closer to becoming an affiliate on Twitch, so we're almost there for that. But as a reminder, we do have our co-op stream every Sunday at 12 o'clock, and we usually end around 3 or 4. Currently, we've been playing Dying Light 2. We may make an adjustment to switch over to Tiny Tina's next week, but be on the lookout for an update on that. And again, these episodes are live every Sunday at 7 o'clock, so make sure you come through to check those out live and engage in the conversation. But Roger, where can we find you at?
You can find me at twitch.tv/lunatic_oblivion. I stream Mondays and Thursdays and Sundays, so hopefully I'll be able to check you guys out later.
Perfect. And of course, everyone check me out at Twitter at MrNeverChillin_. Xbox is XNeverSpaceChillin. You want to party game up, hit me up there. Facebook is Vic Brubacher. Questions, concerns, you want to come on the show, hit me up on there. And of course, I'm streaming here every day whenever I can. So it's usually Sundays and Mondays, and hopefully maybe some Tuesdays here soon. But definitely want to thank everyone again. But until next time, peace.